Hello world, welcome to Champions Online Power Talk. The new archetype that was released recently is the Rockstar. It is a premium tank archetype. It uses heavy weapons. It also has two of the new powers. It has Hyper Voice and Absorb Heat, and they both are choices with other powers. Hyper Voice I don't think fits into this Rockstar archetype at all because it's all sonic damage in a set that's crushing and fire. And because Hyper Voice is on a choice between Arc of Ruin, which is a great debuff, it's like a terrible choice. You're either going to go with damage or you're going to go with a gimmicky power that was shoved into this build and doesn't really fit. Even as a tank, doing lots of damage is pretty important because that's how you keep aggro, by doing lots of damage. And why you would want to give up a debuff for Hyper Voice, I don't know. The Void has been updated. It now has Ego, Constitution, and Presence as its super stats. I'm not entirely sure about Presence. It just seems like Crit would have been better. The healing isn't really there. I think Grasping Shadows now has a healing advantage. And Life Drain. Now Life Drain is pretty much the only heal in this build. Like, regular heal, not advantage. It's part of the heal, though. And you can, of course, give Vampiric Sympathy to heal anything within 20 feet of you, which is great. But Life Drain can crit, so it would have been better to... I think it would have been better to have crit instead of Presence, like for Dexterity. Although I guess there's controlling powers too, but crowd control is kind of hit or miss. But now the Void has 4 choices in power selection instead of only 2. You can choose your form between Aura of Ebon Destruction or the normal Shadow form. And then you could choose between Grasping Shadows and Soul Vortex. Soul Vortex is a new power. And you get to choose between Life Drain or Summon Shadows, which I think that's a dumb choice. I mean, why would you choose Summon Shadows over Life Drain? It's pretty much the only heal you get. Fortunately, your heal is at level 35, so since it's a premium archetype, you would think it would be built better than the free ones. And then at level 40, you can choose between Ebon Rift or Void Horror. And finally, the Devastator was updated, but since I own this one, I'm going to do an updated guide. Not much has changed. They did change the power progression, and they did make some of the choices actually a lot better. You could choose between the 2 lunges now, which is something I criticized originally. You could choose between Vicious Descent and Decimate now. Sadly, there was not a heal added to this archetype. Frankly, the premium archetypes especially should all have heals. I mean, you have to pay for these normally. I mean, they do occasionally give them out for promotional events, but come on, if you're going to pay like $13 for this, you'd think it would be built more in line with how you would build a freeform, which means having a heal. Darkness power updates. So new power, Soul Vortex. It does dimensional damage over time, applies fear. It has a new advantage called Soul Drain, which applies dependency to targets once it expires, once the Soul Drain, Soul Vortex thing expires. Pretty sure dependency is the light heal over time. It's a free power. You don't have to get it out of a lockbox or anything like that. You just, if you have a freeform slot, you can just stick it in whatever character you want. Life Drain, the Vampiric Sympathy advantage is a 20-foot radius instead of 15. Grasping Shadows has 2 new advantages. The first one is Devouring Darkness, which is a heal over time. It could crit, and I think that's going to be, if it hasn't been fixed yet, it should be getting fixed soon, so that can't crit anymore. The other new advantage is Void, which applies trauma. There aren't a whole lot of things in PvE that can heal, and I'm not sure how good this would be in PvP. Shadow Blast applies a dimensional resistance debuff of 18%. Basically what they're doing with all of the other combo and blast powers, turning them into utilities. Ebon Ruin no longer applies trauma. I don't think anyone didn't see this coming because 100-foot trauma power. Instead, Ebon Ruin can summon a shadow pet, and the pet heals you for double the damage it deals, although pets don't normally do very good damage, but hey, it's for healing. They changed the name of the dot from Ebon Ruin. It's called Despair. It applies when you fully charge it, and it can stack up to 3 times. Paranormal, Paranoid Advantage no longer debuffs resistance. It just gives Ebon Ruin a chance to fear targets based on charge time. Ebon Void, the Voracious Darkness advantage costs 3 points instead of 1. It's still really good, even at 3 points, and it's probably better than most of the other 3-point shield advantages. Fire framework changes. New power, absorb heat. It is a heal. It has two components. It has a heal that starts right now and a little heal over time effect. It consumes all stacks of clinging flames to heal, and it actually heals you and your team, which is kind of cool. Except that it's only 25 feet, and of course you have to have clinging flames on an enemy. If those two things aren't met, it does nothing. The really bad thing is it's a 25 foot, which is basically a melee ranged heal in the fire framework, which is all about range. So if you wanted to have your fire character that's not melee and you wanted a thematic heal for it, well, guess what? You're probably still going to want to go with Conviction. It's melee ranged power in a ranged set. It's very easy to not be able to use this. Fire Snake was also changed. The debuff doesn't scale with rank, it's just like a flat 3% negative resistance to all elements or -5 to fire. It stacks, 3 times? For one player, and it has a global stack of 9. So if you have Fire Snake, it's still pretty good. Fire Snake's chance to apply Clinging Flames, however, is based on rank. So it's basically like 10, 20, and 30 at rank 1, 2, and 3. Clinging Flames has an increased duration. It's 12 instead of 8. It's a little bit more damaging. It can't crit, and it can't be dodged. Might framework changes. New power, Hyper Voice. It's a sonic attack. Basically, it's the attack that the birds on Monster Island have that people have been wanting for a while. When you fully maintain it, it knocks down foes. It has an advantage that lowers sonic damage resistance. It's really not a whole lot of sonic damage. It's free power. You don't get it out of a lockbox or anything like that. You just take your freeform character into the powerhouse and you just stick it in a slot. I honestly don't know why they didn't just make a full music framework and then put it in there, because it's not like it needs to be on the Rockstar because it doesn't fit anyway. So there's a new ultimate too that's Power Chord. It's basically you rock out. It's a 25 foot point blank AoE that does sonic damage. It's maintain. It increases your damage for 10 seconds. When you stop maintaining it, it knocks back all enemies and disorients them. It has an advantage called Rock Concert, which lets you boost up to 10 allies nearby with a damage buff and some energy. Sadly, you don't benefit from the energy gain, which sucks. I believe this is from the new lockbox. So there you go, you can buy it on the auction house if you want it. I don't own it yet, so I don't know if it's any good or not. It seems like it should be alright. Heavy weapon changes. Cleave. It doesn't apply Enrage innately anymore. Instead, it has a chance to knock down that increases on the first, second, and then third hit. It has a chance to apply Clinging Flames. The arc is increased to 360 degrees for the first 2 hits and only a 50-degree arc for the last hit, which makes sense when few have ever seen the animation for it. It does a little bit more damage. It has new advantage, Rampant. Cleave now applies Reckless, which is an offense and knock resistance buff. It's Reckless seems to be a kind of weak sauce. I don't know. I wouldn't waste the 2 points on it because there are other powers that have Reckless innately that you might even want to put in there. Annihilate has been moved to tier 3. It has new advantage, Scorching Blade, which deals 30% more damage to targets affected by Clinging Flames, and it has slightly more damage. Earth Splitter is now at tier 2. It has a 42 to 100% chance to apply Clinging Flames based on charge time. It no longer applies Enrage innately, and it applies Reckless. Hey, there you go. You could tap Earth Splitter to knock things up in the air and then cleave away, and you still get your Reckless buff. Arc of Ruin, it's a 360-degree hit. It has a 42 to 100% chance to apply Disorient based on how long you charge it. The No Quarter advantage buffs crushing and fire damage both by 15%. It has a global cap of 3. So if you have 3 people using No Quarter, you have 3 people putting this debuff on things, which is fun. Arc of Ruin has the Wildfire advantage, which refreshes all Clinging Flame stacks. Vicious Descent is now tier 2, which means it's moved down a tier. It deals split fire and crushing damage. It doesn't imply Enrage innately, but it does imply Reckless, so whatever. But if you take the other advantage that knocks people down, then you can still apply Enrage because you're knocking. Eruption, it no longer refreshes Enrage. It's a 320-degree arc. It has a cooldown of 8 seconds. It deals fire crushing split damage. Magma Burst chance to apply Clinging Flames is now 30% to secondary targets and 100% to the primary target, so it's going to apply Clinging Flames at least to one target. Skull Crusher, it does split fire and crushing damage. Yeah, we see a theme here. Has a 50 to 100% chance to apply Disorient. Skewer, it does not imply Enrage. Actually, it only applied Enrage if you were hitting more than 3 targets, or 3 or more, something like that. But it doesn't do that at all anymore, so there's absolutely no way for Skewer to apply Enrage because it doesn't knock either. What it does do is it has a chance to apply Bleeds, which is kind of weird because it makes it the odd man out in the entire framework because nothing else applies Bleeds. Decimate is less janky with the activation delay,